right. I was just getting ready to take a leap of faith. How are you? I am awesome this morning. Happy Friday. It's beautiful out here in lovely Minnesota. Now, the reason I had my eyes covered was a lot of times when we're taking a leap of faith, even when we know in our knower that we need to do this, it feels like this, doesn't it? Like, where am I going? The scriptures talk about Abraham. And Abraham left a land and a place that was very comfortable for him. And he went to a place that he had never seen. He didn't even know where he was walking. He was just following God's voice and going to the promised land, right? So, what I want to talk to you about today is taking that step of faith. Now, a lot of times we know what it is that we really should be doing, but it is the start that stops us. Have you heard that before? It is true. It is the start that absolutely stops us. So, how do we start and keep going? We will do one of two things in our lives. We will either come up against, like we're right there, we'll come up against that breakthrough or even that challenge. Like we're right there and we're facing this issue, or we're right there, we're on the verge of stepping into unprecedented territory, closer to our dreams. Okay, now listen, we will do one of two things. We'll retreat in safety, and then we don't advance. Or we will just break through. I love the word breakthrough. Instead of bouncing off of that fear or unbelief, we will break through instead and go into a place where you've never been before, like Star Trek, right? Going into that place we've never been before. And on that other side is where your dream is landed. Now, listen, it is not enough for me to say this and for you to go, It's not. We have to make a quality decision, and that is one we don't go back on. And then we stay with it. Well, how do we stay with it and not end up retreating? This is where the work comes in. The scripture calls it renewing your mind. I'm going to say repetition is a teacher. Study is a teacher. What we put in, we get out, which is why the scripture says renew your mind. It also says that faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. So many times we make a decision that I'm going to chase after my dream. I'm going to lose that 20 pounds. I'm going to pay off that credit card. I'm going to take my family on that trip. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to go back to school, right? We could just go on and on, but then we don't do it. We were excited about it, but then that whole idea of what sometimes we consider to be logic, which is really flawed, starts telling us all the reasons why we can't. And we go back into safety, okay? Now, the only way to continue to advance is you got to have the combat training to do it. And where do you get that? You get that as you study. So if you want to be better at math, what do you have to study? Okay. If you want to be changing your thinking, then you better be putting in your mind what you want to think about. If you continue to confess that you'll never do it, that you're not good enough, and you confess all the reasons why you think you can't, that's where you're going to stay. If you want your thinking to be renewed, then you got to put something else in there constantly and continuously. So how do you do that? You make a decision to go and get your little journal or whatever and sit down and write out, what is that dream? And then when you have that dream all written out, you can pray. You can just spend time in quiet. I like to pray and say, okay, God, where do I go to get the education on this that I need? How do I feed myself the right stuff that aligns with my belief? How do I do that? And then I begin to write that down. And then I start to look for those avenues. Now, it might be that you're starting with a book and you're going to read that book and you're going to read it and read it and read it. Sometimes we buy a book and we just read it once. If it is full of incredible knowledge and it speaks to you, you should read it over and over and over and over again. You should get your confessions or your daily affirmations, and you should be saying them over every day, maybe even more than once. You should write your dream or your big goal down and carry it with you, or put it on your phone so that you can see it. You see, and say it, because what you believe, you can achieve it. But believing is not just like this mental knowledge. There's this, there needs to be a descending into your heart where you are like, that's it, that's all, I'm doing this. And whatever the challenges are, I will blow past them. I'll deal with them. I'll push beyond them and fulfill my purpose by design. See my dream manifests. Listen, the only person that stands between you and that full manifestation is ourselves. And it is not what we're doing, it's what we're thinking. We have to renew our mind to that which has been divinely given to us that we want to pursue. And we need to do that with passion, right? When you learned how to do your ABCs, or you would learn how to do the math, it came by repetition. And so why wouldn't we use that same kind of power, really God-given power, to direct us to fulfill our purpose, our call on our life? We absolutely should. And nobody can make you do that. Nobody can choose that for you. You have to choose it for yourself. I like to say this. Do you play the lead role in the movie of your life? Or are you the best friend? Are you the extra? Start looking at that, because nobody else should be playing that lead role but you. What has been divinely placed into your heart? Write it down. Where do you need to educate yourself so that you can grow stronger and apply your faith in it? What book could you read? Who could you talk to? Is there a class you can take? What could you do? And if you want to reach out to me, I would love to be part of your discovery, to discover it together. Let's go for it. Just know that that fear that you're bouncing off of, you have the ability to break through it in faith. And you have the God-given grace to land your dream. Remember this. It is what we're thinking here that creates our belief system, that causes us to either retreat or advance. We need to change this so that it changes this, so that everything else changes. Okay. I love you so much. Continue to be the salt and the light everywhere you go. You are blessed to be a blessing. Okay, ready? Let's leap. Happy Friday. Love you guys very much.